Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Eric Winery with Events by Cool Cat. I'm one of the DJ trainers, and today we are going to be talking even more in depth about Virtual DJ8, specifically the mixer window. So, as you can see right here, this is the copy of the Cool Cat training notes. You can follow along right in here as you're listening to the audio, or you can watch the video to see exactly what's going on in Virtual DJ. So we are going to be covering it right in Virtual DJ for the video. So, I already have Virtual DJ8 opened up. Let's look at it. So, this section right here in the very middle is known as the mixer section. So, the mixer section has 4 different tabs. I'm going to talk about all the buttons included with the tabs, and then we will go into how to use them. Alright, let's get right to it. So, a couple of different buttons. As you can see, in the first view, the default view is known as the mixer view. This is the same identical setup as most DJ controllers. So the middle part of your DJ controller should look identical to that. I'll talk about the buttons quick. On both sides, as you can remember, the imaginary line down the middle have identical buttons. They have the 3-band EQ, so a high, a mid, and a low, and they are not a complete kill, meaning that if you play a song and you cut it all the way down to the minimum of it, it's still going to have a little bit playing. Now, as a general rule, highs are your hi-hats, your higher noises, so if you want to kill those in a song or bring them down a little bit, you just lower that. Your mids are typically where your vocals are located, so if you kill your vocals, there's going to be a significant difference in your song. Also, if you want to boost them, so if you were bringing in a song and you had the bass up on another track, you boost the vocals on the one that you're exiting out of so people can hear it a little bit better as you're doing your beat matching. That's another thing. And your lows are going to be the ones that you actually deal with on your 3-band EQ the most often. This is where you kill the low and you're bringing in the next low, and just to make your beat matching sound better. Or in the opposite, you're bringing it up and you're bringing down the other one. However you do it, the 3-band EQ is there for you, and it's also good too if your song just sounds a little bit odd. If the default way it was recorded just sounds a little bit, I don't know, tinny or so, maybe add a little bit of low to it. Or if the vocals are a little too quiet, just boost the mid a little bit. Just things to be aware of while you're just mixing your music in general. Directly under those, you have your filters. They are a HPLP filter, which means it is a high pass and a low pass. So if you turn it all the way to the right, that means that it is going to be acting as a high pass filter. So let's just see how it sounds. How about this? All right. So if you're playing a song and then you use the filter, it's going to... So it's currently acting as a high pass filter, meaning the only sound that's getting through is a higher sound. Where on the opposite side, all the way to the right, is a low pass. So you can only hear the lowest, and actually the way that it works is it's such a good low pass filter, when you're this far down, you can't even hear it with a human ear. So right about there is probably good for a low pass filter. And then right back at the middle is how you turn it off. And you can also just double click on the filter at any point and it'll reset it back off. So just double click with a right click and it'll totally reset the filter. Alright, moving on. So in this middle section, we also have our volume faders. We talked about those in our last video. We have our crossfader, and we have our PFLs, which I did not talk about. So a PFL is known as a pre-fade listen. It allows you to listen to the song before you're actually playing the song out through your speakers. So if it's clicked onto the blue, then that means you're able to hear Fix You before it's actually coming out of the speakers. So if the crossfader was over here and you have headphones plugged in and you click that, you'll be able to actually hear what the song sounds like, so you can line it up, so you can beat match it, so you can make sure there's not a voiceover. Whatever the reason is, you can listen to it. Now both of the buttons are off, so if neither are highlighted, that means you do not have pre-fade listen activated at all. If you click them both on, you can listen to a full mix. So if you're in a really loud room, you have your speakers cranked, and you want just a quieter way to make sure that your music is being matched up, you can put on your headphones entirely rather than the one-ear technique, and you can listen to both sides of the track, so it's working super well for that. Now, moving on to the next thing. As you know, we have our gain knobs, and right here, this is where you can see if your songs are being limited or not. So that is everything that's in the mixer view. Let's move on to videos. So if you bring out the TVs for a day, or if you're just messing around with the videos, this is going to be the default view you want to look at. So your first thing you want to look at is your master output. Your master output is what's going onto your TV. So if you're connected through an HDMI cord, that is what's going to show up on the TV as you're playing it. So once you click into it, it'll show you the actual example of the video. So you can just either drag that onto your TV or just so you have a good reference while you're DJing of whatever is being played. Source A and Source B under those two are going to be the videos that are associated with Deck A and Deck B. So whatever video is playing there, it'll give you a tiny preview, and whatever video is going there will give you a small preview as well. Similar to the mixer view, you have your volume faders again, and then over here, you still have your crossfader, and you also have your pre-fade listens. So in this little section, you have your transitions. So when you click on down to the tab, there's tons of video transitions that pop up. A lot of them are way too flashy and should not be used all the time. We recommend using them in moderation. But a couple of them, just like the fade, are really nice. Fade you could use almost every time. All you have to do to activate it is click it. And as soon as you click it, the video that's playing in the folder will start to have that transition. So you can transition from one song to the next. Effects go on as your video is already going. So the boom will make it zoom in on the video quick. Again, they're flashy and they shouldn't be used too often. You activate them the same way. You just right click on it once and it's good to go. So down here is the video crossfader, which is actually separate from your audio crossfader, but you can link them. If you click the link button, then whenever you move your crossfader, they're going to move the same. Basically, it works the same way as a normal crossfader. If you have it all the way to the left, you can only see what's coming out of source A. If you have it all the way to the right, you can only see what's coming out of source B. If you have it in the middle, you can see both. So typically the video crossfader, if you just link it to it, as soon as you start mixing your song, it will go in between the two videos and you can switch seamlessly. It's much better because if you don't, frankly, you might just forget, and when you click pause on your next song after you beat matched out of it, you could just end up with a blank TV, and that's just not that good looking. Alright, and then auto is, it will automatically switch for them for you. So auto is really cool. That's also associated with your transitions. So once you click transition, it'll automatically fade to the other side for you, so it's nice and smooth. So that is everything in the video window. Let's move on to the scratch view. The scratch view is the view that is probably most preferred by most of our DJs. If you open up Virtual DJ, it's not the one that pops up, but if you work with a lot of our guys, this is the traditional view that they like to work with. The reason why is because it gives you another great view of your actual files. So here's all the buttons in it. As you can see, running theme, again, we have our volume faders, we have our gain knobs, and we also, if you notice, whenever you use the gain knob, it shows how big the file is getting, which does not happen up here in your rhythm window. So that's kind of cool. You have your pre-fade listens again, you've got your crossfader, and you have the actual scratch view right here. So in the scratch view, you can see your audio files, and yes, you can move them this way, but there's really no point to it, so you don't have to. The zoom controls how far you are actually seeing onto it. So if you click zoom out, if you notice, you can see more and more of your track, and you can just keep zooming out. You can also do this in the rhythm window, but I will talk about that during the rhythm window section. So zoom right there is how you affect it on the cross thing. So if you really wanted to get close to a beat and then be able to wiki with it essentially, you just want to zoom it in a little bit closer so you can see it better. So moving on to the clone deck button. So clone deck will copy whatever deck you're doing. So if this song is playing, or even if it's not playing, it'll make a copy of it. So click that, and it's an identical copy in the exact same spot of it. So if you click play on it, and then you click play on this, it'll play them at the exact same time. Now, you might be wondering, why would I clone the deck? What's the point of it? A couple of old school effects can be done by cloning a deck. For instance, if you have this song playing at the same time as this one and the decks are cloned and both volumes are up, it creates an old school phaser kind of effect. And it's how they originally created them. Similarly, if you play this one and then you put this one a beat behind it by clicking pause for a beat and then clicking play again, you get a cool echo effect. If you do it for 2 beats, you get your flip and double effect. So a lot of the effects that are already preset in Virtual DJ over here were created by using something like a scratch window. So clone deck is cool if you want to do some old school effects, but totally not necessary. Okay, so moving down here, beat lock is another cool feature. Essentially what beat lock does is it'll lock these 2 beats together and try and keep them, whatever the songs are, it'll try and keep them moving together. So if you move this one, it'll move the other one. So let's just click beat lock on for both of them. If the songs are playing, then it'll try and keep them on each other. Again, beat lock is one of those features you're not really going to have to use, but it's handy to know what the button does, just in case you accidentally hit it and you see something that's kind of acting odd. So, mute reverse is actually a really cool feature that you may want to end up using. It is going to mute your reverse as you're scratching. So if you bring the track back, you can't hear anything. When you bring it forward, you can. It's essentially like using the crossfader when you would scratch and bringing it in and out to cut, but it's doing it for you so you don't even have to use the crossfader. So if you have your hand on the platter, you can literally just do the wiki thing and it'll cut for you. So that's a really handy feature. If you want to use it, just make sure it's turned on. Yellow indicates on, so whatever side it's on, you just got to click the button and it's good to go. Also make sure you're turning that off if you want to have both effects on it. So, alright, that is everything in that window. Let's move on to the master window. So, located in the master window, there's a couple of other buttons. This is the only window that doesn't actually have your volume faders. As you can see in all three of these, you have your volume faders. It only has your crossfader. So, master volume is the volume output controlled for all of your audio. So if you have it at 0%, you can't hear anything. 100%, it's going to be as loud as possible for them. This button right here is your limiter. If you turn your limiter on or off, it's going to affect how loud you can actually get. With limiter off, you're going to be able to go much louder, but you're also going to have a higher gain. As we talked about in our first video, the higher gain you have, the more issues you can also lead to with your audio quality. So always have your limiter on. Next button is record, so you can record your actual master output to a sample. So if you wanted to record whatever is being played out throughout these things, that's another way to do it. Also, over here, your internal microphone. So whatever your laptop's microphone is, like the laptop I'm using right now, you can actually click the on button and record it as well. So if you want to make a voice edit, if you wanted to say your name in one of your songs or whatever, you can do that directly in Virtual DJ now. This tab is known as the Master Effects tab, and essentially it's like the effects that you see on deck A and deck B, but it's applying to the entire thing. So if you click one of these, for instance the break start, or if you click backspin, it's going to make both of your tracks stop. So just be aware of that and don't use effects like that in Master if you want music to keep playing. The other ones are kind of cool though, because you can have both tracks echoing, you can have both have reverb, or both do a loop roll. It is useful. So that is where you affect both decks at once with your effects. So let's move down to the record broadcast mix. Ignore the broadcast button. The bcast button is never going to get used for us as DJs, but the recording file is actually pretty useful. Basically, if you want to record a mix, like a lot of the mixes we do here, you click into File, and it's going to prompt you for a file name. Pick the type of format you want. I recommend MP3, and then you can click Start Record. As soon as you start record, you have to actually have a file selected. It'll bring you back to this window, and it'll have a small little pop-out tab. You can click record, and whatever you are playing is going to record until you click record again, and then it will stop. So that's how I make all of my edits for songs, and I use it right in Virtual DJ. Super handy. So whatever is being played though, with the master, it's a little bit different because if you're recording on the master volume, you can hear both decks, but with the record feature in here, you're actually able to use the crossfader and everything, so you can make mega mixes. So super useful feature. That is everything for your 4 different tabs. Just remember also, if you guys have any questions, you can refer right to here. All the buttons I just explained are explained in detail right throughout this section. So feel free to look at them, and there's the nice little picture references as well. Again, if you have any questions, let one of your DJ trainers know, and we'll be happy to help you. All right, stay tuned for the next video.